Adam Peters has been accused of meddling in coach's business. The team has made its first request for an interview, and why the Lions are looking to hire their new offensive coordinator from the Commanders. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell. We have so much to talk about. It feels so overwhelming with there being so much news coming out. When the season ended, silly, naive me thinking maybe we would just have a nice week or two period where it's calm and we drift off in the offseason, and then we're talking about the draft and we're talking about free agency. No, life had other plans. It's wild. It's the Wild West for the Commanders right now. We've got coordinator interviews, targets, leaked reports, scandals, if you even want to call it that. There's a lot that we got to talk about, and we are going to get into it in this video. So, guys, make sure you hit the like and the hype button as always. Subscribe if you're new around here. The numbers have been going up so much lately, and we're on the climb to 4K subscribers. So why not join the family if you have not already? There's going to be a lot of these videos coming out over the next few days and weeks, and just with everything that's going on, this is a period. This is one of those periods where it's obvious things are just going to change, and they're continue to change very quickly, and I will be here every day, multiple times per day, if that's what it takes to make sure you guys get all of the information. So let's start off with the drama, with the theater. Adam Peters has been accused of meddling in the coach's business. NFL insider Jordan Schultz said that, well, really he had a report that said the front office was meddling, that's the word that he used, and that's the word that I keep reusing, meddling with the coaching staff on personnel and player usage. He said that this happened dating back to 2024, and according to one of his sources, quote, "There's a lot of shit going on there." Here's my take on this. The word choice makes it sound like this is a bad thing, right? The meddling, the swearing in there, it sounds negative. It sounds bad. Here's my opinion. It's not. I'm just going to be honest. I don't view this as a negative thing. Adam Peters, when he came into town, made it very clear we're going to build through the draft. That's what we want to do. Now, I understand that he's traded some draft picks away, and so you can call that into question, and fairly so. I would point out the Commanders drafted 14 players in the last two drafts. That's 7 per year. That's what you start with, although we do only have 6 in this draft, so I understand that. But his philosophy was we want to build through the draft. And most of us have voiced our frustrations that the young players weren't getting opportunities. Even if they were on the field, they weren't on the field enough, or they weren't being put in important positions. And that's if they were getting on the field at all. Think about how long we had to campaign to even see what Jordan McGee had to offer, right? So Adam Peters might have just felt the same way that we did. He's the guy who drafted them. He drafted them with the intent of them being the future of the team. And he's sitting back looking, saying, I know what Frankie Louvu is. I know what Jonathan Jones is. Let me see the guys that I picked. Now, obviously, the coaches know better than anybody. They know the players better than anybody. Dan Quinn knew Jordan McGee better than you and I. He probably knows what Jordan McGee can do on a football field better than Adam Peters does. But games and practice are different. For young players, they develop the most with those game reps. And the bottom line is, if we are going to build through the draft, well, then we need to know who does and does not have it. This is not to say that playing the younger players would have made us a better football team. It might have made us worse. We might have the first pick in the draft, but we would know. Oh, I thought Ben Sinnott was a guy, spent a second-round pick on him. He's terrible. So now I need to draft a tight end to replace him. That's one possibility, and I'm not saying that is real. I'm not saying anything about Ben Sinnott. It's just a hypothetical example, but you understand the point that I'm making, right? Also, Dan Quinn, one thing about him was he seemed remarkably slow to react to certain things. It took him until the end of the season to talk about Johnny Newton playing 3-tech. He said, I think it was before like maybe the Miami game or maybe the Kansas City game. He said, we need to get faster. You could see that after about week 2. So this all ties into the young players. And this is, I also want to drive this point home. When the Commanders lose 4 straight games by 21 plus points, when you lose 10 of 11 games heading into week 18, I'd hope my GM would want to step in, at least try to offer some advice. With all of the injuries that happened, I would hope my GM would talk about personnel. How do we make this more sustainable? What guys should we bring in? Who deserves more reps? Who's going to fill in? Who can come back at a certain time? The report said this was dating back to 2024, right? When Kliff Kingsbury is calling multiple QB powers in Jaden's NFL debut, I would hope my GM would step in and say, hey, let's try not to do that. To me, this report is overblown. The GM on every team, every single team in the NFL is heavily involved in personnel decisions. They will offer input on coaching decisions. They watch the practices with the coaches. They talk about strengths and weaknesses. To think that a GM communicates with his coach on draft day, and then maybe the first day and the last day of free agency, and then, as the season's starting, good to see you back in the building. Don't be naive. These guys are together all the time. So yes, I do believe Adam Peters was meddling, and I believe every GM meddles. I think he was doing exactly what he should have been doing. Until we have a sustainable model of success, we have the coaches, we have the players, we have the winning history, we have the quarterback. Until we have all that in place, why wouldn't Adam Peters be involved? What reason does he have to sit back and relax right now? So this report, I believe that it's true, but I also believe it's nonsense at the same time. I think this is what happens on pretty much every team, especially a team in our situation. I want my GM being proactive. So speaking of the higher level moves, and this does relate to Adam Peters, the Commanders have requested their first interview, or they've submitted their first request for an interview with the Raiders defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham. Now, I know very little about this man, so I went back, I looked at some numbers, I'm going to read them to you, and then I'm going to give you better, more trustworthy information. That's how I'll put that. So, he was the Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator in 2019. The team was last in points allowed per game and EPA per play. That's bad. He goes to the New York Giants, where he's the assistant head coach and defensive coordinator in 2020 and 2021. His first year there, they're 9th in points per game, 16th in EPA per play. Next year, they're 23rd in points per game, 21st in EPA per play. He then becomes the Raiders defensive coordinator from 22 to 25, where he is still employed, I believe. I don't think he's been fired yet. The Raiders in his first season are 26th in points per game, 30th in EPA per play. His second season, that's when they really show up. 7th in points per game, 9th in EPA per play. But then the last 2 years, 25th in points per game, and both of them 16th and 20th in EPA per play. So the numbers don't look good. So what I did was I just went searching. I went on YouTube. I typed in the name Patrick Graham, and I looked for any sort of schematic analysis that I could find. And I stumbled upon a video from March of 2024. This is on the channel Tape Don't Lie. I don't know if it is a purely Raiders show or not. They had 12,000 subscribers. From the little content I saw, it looked like they were doing a good job. So shout out to those guys. I'll try if I can remember. I will put a link in the description. I promise I will do it. I'll put a link in the description to the original video. But they had a guest on whose name is Cody Alexander. And this is a guy that I actually have a lot of respect for. I've had a few conversations with him on Twitter. He posts some just brilliant content explaining the nuances of offense and defense and talking X's and O's. He does a phenomenal job. So to see him there, I was surprised and I was happy to see him because this is a guy that I trust. Again, his name is Cody Alexander. He was on the staff at Baylor before. He's just a really smart dude. So I'm going to read you some quotes and some things he said in this video talking about Patrick Graham. He said, quote, "I think he fits the mold of a modern coordinator. He uses passive pressure, which he then went on to describe as nuanced pressure. That's going to come from 4 and 5-man blitzes, but they change up the coverage behind it. They're constantly mixing looks and rotating coverages to add that extra half second of processing for the quarterback, which allows your players to get home easier without having to send extra players." Here's another quote from him. He said, "You watch the Raiders, he does a really good job of, we're going to look the same almost every pre-snap, but you have no idea what's going to come." Now, one big question you would have about this is, well, the Raiders have Max Crosby and the Commanders have I mean, Dorrance Armstrong had a very good year, don't get me wrong, but once he went out of the lineup, we had literally nobody, and we were kind of riding the coattails of Dorrance Armstrong when he was there. And we have a top 7 pick. We might draft David Bailey. We might draft Ruben Bain. We might go spend money on an edge rusher. AP is not stupid. He knows that's an issue. He singled it out. He said one area he's looking to upgrade on the defense is the pass rusher. But is our pass rusher going to be Max Crosby? I don't know. That's that's a high bar to clear. So watching this video, considering it's from March of 24, it was after that second year, which I had mentioned was Patrick Graham's best year by far with the Raiders. I just hopped on Twitter and I tweeted Cody Alexander. I said, hey, saw this video. Do your thoughts still apply? Etc., etc. He replied and he said that he felt that Patrick Graham was hamstrung this year by roster and the management of Pete Carroll. He also said that he still thinks he's a good defensive coordinator with a roster upgrade and he could put in some work. He's had some really good game plans against the top teams over the year, but like I was saying, the numbers resume isn't there. But then he said, or he finished by saying, it's also the Raiders. Later on in the day, I also saw an endorsement from another guy that I respect on Twitter. I understand it's cheap, it's Twitter, everyone has an opinion, but these are people who do a good job. And this person also doubled down, said, hey, yeah, Patrick Graham, good coach, I still believe in him. So with these endorsements, I'm certainly willing to look past the numbers, okay? Because the numbers are pretty bad, but I can't argue. It is the Raiders. They've had Max Crosby, but who else have they had? What else has the team done? What has the offense done to support them? What has the continuity been? What has the quarterback situation been like? It's not totally fair to look at these numbers and say the guy is awful. We also need to be able to compartmentalize, right? The Raiders are a bad football team. That doesn't mean that the defensive coordinator did a bad job. Doesn't mean that the safeties, DBs coach did a bad job, right? Like the Commanders are 5-12. Does that mean our quarterback sucks? No. So we have to compartmentalize these things. And I will admit it's difficult to kind of parse through that if you're not in the building when you're talking about coaching staff members. But with these endorsements, I'm at least willing to entertain the thought, and we'll see what happens as this develops. We are going to get more information about more people the Commanders request to interview, and, that will enlighten us on where they are going with their search. If we don't hear anything for a while, the Commanders have the opportunity, they have the ability to contact playoff teams right now to schedule these interviews, but it's possible that the coordinators have just said, hey, I don't want to entertain any of these until the playoffs are over. So maybe we won't even hear about them until the playoffs do end. If that's the case, the next days, the next weeks go by and we don't hear anything, they are targeting somebody on a playoff team. That's what I would say. From the Commanders' new coordinator to the former one, Kliff Kingsbury. There's been a lot of speculation that Kliff is the one who's kind of airing some of the dirty laundry right now, that he might have been the one to leak the reports about the front office meddling and the coach's decisions, and ESPN's Peter Schrager just poured cold water on that, straight up. He came out and he said, quote, Kliff has taken the high road with me, hasn't badmouthed the org. If anything, he's bummed he and DQ couldn't win more this year. He's also excited to see what's next. C'est la vie. So, Kliff Kingsbury, again, I want to make this very clear. Kliff is a smart guy. I'm incredibly appreciative of what he did for this organization. He took a chance in his career, didn't end up working out. They got to great heights. Conference championship game next year fails. But Kliff, he's a good coordinator. He's better than a lot of coordinators in the NFL. He's going out with grace. So thank you, Kliff Kingsbury, and we wish you luck in your next stop. The final thing that I want to touch on, and this is just a very quick one before I get out of here. David Blough, the Commanders' assistant quarterback coach, received an interview request from the Detroit Lions, who are in the market for a new offensive coordinator. Blough was with the Lions at a point in his career. Let's see if I can dig that up real quick, and I don't know if he ever took any snaps for them. David Blough was with the Lions from 2019 to 2021. He is only 30 years old, I believe. And let's see, he appeared in 7 games for the Lions. He threw 184 passes, had 1,050 yards or so. And out of respect, I'm not going to share the touchdown to interception ratio. But David Blough has been contacted for an interview. If he's hired, that would be Blough, Tavita Pritchard, Kliff Kingsbury, all gone in a very short window. Lots of turnover on the staff. And if they make the right hires, that won't be a bad thing, but there is pressure on them to make those hires. And considering they just fired both of their coordinators and their offensive line coach, they're probably going to need to raise the bar a little bit, do a little bit better job. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate you all joining me. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of information coming out here in the immediate future, and I will be sure to be here with you guys, laying it out for you, giving you everything that is going on in the news. So subscribe if you have not already. Hit the like and the hype button as well. Really appreciate it. Feel free to leave me your comments on everything that I said in this video. And as I always say, I will catch you in the next one. Have a great day.